Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Sorry I missed my normal upload of Monday. It was a bit of a crappy weekend with migraines last weekend, so I had a bit of a quiet one and missed getting this video ready for you all. So as you can see here, I have jumped straight into building. I'm currently removing everything out of the house, moving it into the household inventory. Anyone new to The Sims, I didn't learn this trick for a while. If you've got items in your house that you want to keep, but you want to get them moved away, click on the item, click your backspace key. It will move it into your household inventory rather than deleting it and then losing money on that item and having to buy it back at a higher rate. I didn't learn that trick for quite a while and it would have saved me so much money in my earlier builds. So everything has been moved into the inventory. I've deleted the house now, trying to work in the same footprint, so I want to keep the fencing and the landscaping I've already got to save on money. We've got just under 8,000 simoleons to build a whole new house with a bit better layout and some more space than we previously had. So we're going to try and use a very similar footprint, and the only thing I really do differently is sort of do a little bit of a bump out towards the end of the video, which you'll see, but the rest of the space I think comes together really nicely and is used it's just much more functional for the space than what it was before. So as you can see, I'm just sort of blocking out some room. So in the front we've got a bedroom, we've got a little bathroom with a separate toilet, and then we've got these two big rectangular spaces which I've just opened up into one big sort of S-bend, and that's going to be the really open concept living, dining, everything area. So it's still only a one bedroom house because at this present moment it is just my two Sims and their puppies. Babies aren't sort of in the plan for this Let's Play at this stage, but as they earn more money, obviously we've got more than enough space on this plot of land at this stage to add more bedrooms, and you can always build up, you can build down, endless limits with this game. So as you can see, I'm just placing the doors. I've got this sort of little indented section here so that the doors can have their own little nook rather than having them just on a flat wall going straight into the living area. They're sort of off to the side and nice and contained and separate, which I think just looks a lot nicer. Here I'm trying to decide on the windows. I absolutely love the snowy escape windows, but they just weren't working for me in this build, so I do change out, which you'll see shortly. I think I go back to, I want to say the Parenthood windows, but I'm not sure if that's the name of the pack, but it's one of those. It's either Parenthood, and I think I used the front door from Seasons, but I have just remembered in this point here, I remember thinking, no, the one thing I need more than anything is those massive glass sliding doors from the Eco Lifestyle, and these are my absolute favorite item I think in that entire pack. I absolutely love the big sliding glass doors, and they are a must for me, especially living here in Australia. Having these big doors on the back of the house and just being able to open them up when the weather's right is just amazing. So that was sort of the jumping off point for the rest of the windows and doors in this house. So I settled on this beautiful big window. I love lots of natural light, so I tend to go for the big windows. So even though, in real life you're probably going to want a bit more privacy at the front of the house, in The Sims it doesn't really matter too much, so we went all out with the windows. I'm just playing around with placement here. I do love my building in The Sims, and I can spend hours. My best friend actually we played Sims all the time. We could spend weekends playing The Sims together, so he'd play his game, I'd play mine, and he could have 2 or 3 generations built and played through in the time it would take me to build one of my houses. So that just gives you some idea of how long I can spend building. But this video, I promise, won't be that long. It's just a quick renovation of the house, well, knock down rebuild I suppose, but trying to keep to that similar footprint so that it keeps my budget better managed, because I can sometimes splurge and I really want to avoid using money cheats and any sort of cheats in this save file that just give a bit of an unfair advantage. So I was just being mindful of that here. And I was contemplating putting those windows on the side wall in the bedroom, just because I love how nicely the light comes through as it is doing in the bathroom there. But because we've got the big window on the front, you don't really sort of get the same effect there because the light's sort of bouncing off of that window anyway. So here I'm just starting to place some of the furniture. The best thing about this is it doesn't cost us anything, we already had it, and if you do want to make it look a bit fresher, you can always change the swatches. Unlike in, I think it was Sims 3, we used to have to pay to change the colour of things, which I suppose is a little bit more realistic. In the real world you'd probably have to go buy a can of paint on your bed sheets, but we don't have to worry about that here in The Sims 4, and we can just change it out if we want a fresh look. So it's a really good way, even in the basic starter homes, if you're not a builder, you get a starter home, you've got everything in it, just go into build mode, get the swatch tool and just change the swatches out. You can make a basic Sims starter home look quite nice if you just change out the swatches, because sometimes the choices that are made are questionable, to say the least. So I'm just figuring out what I'm going to put where here in the rooms, and I like to have, as you'll see towards the end of this when we're getting closer to finishing up, I do like to have sort of the bedrooms and the lounge room areas a bit darker on a night time. I just think it's a little bit more true to life. You're not gonna, well, I wouldn't, and I don't sort of sit there and watch TV with the big overhead lights on. I generally have lamps or light filtered in from another room, so I'm trying to keep that in mind when I'm putting everything out. And I thought this was just a really nice spot to put the kitchen. It's sort of in between sort of where I'm going to put the lounge room and the dining space. It's out of the way, but it's still easily accessible, and it has this really nice open feel to it. So I was trying to find an end piece to this cabinet here, and these are custom content that I've downloaded. The only problem is when I've gone to go grab the counter, there's so many choices that I can't actually choose the end piece that I needed from it. So I end up going in, and rather than buying an end piece, I'm pretty sure, I just put the bin at the end of the counter so that it's nice and easily accessible. So I quickly decided I didn't want these chairs anymore. They weren't really going with anything else. I think the house is sort of steering away from that sort of country, like shabby chic kind of vibe, and going for maybe a little bit more Scandinavian. So got rid of those chairs. We'll replace them towards the end of the video. So I'm just jumping into the bathroom, and I'm just trying to figure out how to fit the laundry, shower tub and sink in here. Benefit of having the toilet separate is that this is basically just all, nice, easily accessible go-to spots. And then you've got your toilet separate. I really like having the toilet separate. It's something that I have at home, and I just think it's so much more convenient. If someone's in the bath or having a shower, you don't have to wait till they're done. It's just nice, and it's tucked away. You don't have to see it. You can really make your bathroom look pretty, and you don't have an ugly toilet in there. So I do quite like that, and I do tend to mimic that in The Sims as well where I can. So I'm just popping the hamper in the bedroom because there's no room in the bathroom, but I think the bedroom's quite appropriate. And I'm just coming over to this room, and it is quite a long, it's more of a hallway than a room. So I'm trying to sort of, I guess, do a bit of dividing up the space with the furniture here. It doesn't spoiler alert, it doesn't stay this way. I do change it up to like a little bit further on in the video, but I think I've left this in just to show you how you can sort of get, if you've got these really long, skinny, awkward spaces that you want to work with, you can sort of make them functional in that you just use the furniture to be the divider rather than having a wall or a separate space. You just pop them together, see how they work, and just pop them in there. So as you can see, having these back together, you've got like your lounge room, and then you've also got space for the desk, which wouldn't be very practical in the current climate, because if you were working from home, someone wanted to watch the TV, I know I would, I'd get very distracted for one, and for two, conference calls probably aren't going to be great with the TV on in the background. So because my sim is in the arts career, I have unlocked those sketches you see there on the wall. So if you're wondering where they've come from, they are just base game. They're just unlockable by the arts career, along with that art light that I've put up above them. They're both unlockable in that career. And you'll also see there's a cabinet just next to the dog bowl there. That is unlocked by the athletics career. So when Cameron Sim, when he starts to get upper in the career prospects, and as he goes along, he'll start to get trophies and things, and you can just chuck those in that cabinet. You can always sell them for extra money if you want, but I do think it adds a little extra layer of storytelling if you do keep them in. Your gameplay, I'm not the best at it all the time. Like I say, I am more of a builder rather than a player in The Sims, so, but we're trying to make that different. So I've just realised I don't really have a spot for the gym equipment inside the house, and you probably wouldn't have something like that just out in the elements. So I'm just extending what will be an undercover deck area here and trying to figure out a way to put it in so it'll be protected from the elements. Again, it's not really an issue in The Sims, you know, it's not electrical, so it isn't going to break in the weather, but I do like to have an element of realism in my games. So I'm just making this little built out area here, and then it also, by doing that, it gives it a much more, I suppose, grounded feeling to this. Like I say, I'm going to bump out the roof shortly. It does give it more of a sturdy feeling rather than just being propped up on little flimsy columns. I'm just fixing up some of this terrain paint because it wasn't matching anymore. And terrain paint is so underrated, I feel. It's just, number one, it's free, which we always like in builds where we're not using the good motherlode cheat. It's free. It adds sort of that natural look to your builds rather than everything being to the grid, and you can get some really nice effects. I'm not the best with it by any means, but I do like to use it where I can to sort of add an element of realism of like a garden path or a track that's been walked on. So here I'm trying to do the roof, and this took me an embarrassing amount of time to get this right. It was clipping and where I didn't want it to clip, and if I got one side of the roof to line up, then the pitch didn't line up, and then if the pitch lined up, well then the edge didn't line up. And it, like I say, it was an embarrassingly long period of time that I spent on this, when really it was a very easy solve, which I do in the end, and I do fix it. It's okay. We don't live with a horrible roof because it would just drive me nuts. But enjoy the headache that is me trying to figure out roof building in The Sims 4. I can only imagine what it would have been like watching me try and figure this out in The Sims 3 or even The Sims 2, because that would have been horrendous. Anybody else remember those auto place roofs that used to be like 3 stories high if you had a wide house? It was just, they were next level ridiculous. But let's not go there. So this is what I mean, where if I get the pitch to not clip, then the side doesn't clip, but then if the side doesn't clip, this sticks out, and it was not what I was wanting. I just wanted a nice smooth roof all along. Eventually I just give up and delete that portion of the roof and start again with a different type of roofing, which you'll see. I think I'm getting pretty close to just giving up here. I think I do one last ditch effort to make it look okay and realize that's not going to be a thing, but we'll just see. I think, yeah, so here I'm trying to bump it out so that you've got some sort of decorative element to the roof line, but I just wasn't happy with it, so goodbye roof. Okay, so now that that portion of the roof's gone, I've just copied the back portion of the roof, and I'm just extending that out now to cover the rest of the house, just so that we've got that nice clean roof line and we're not having any of the clipping issues. So it's a nice little L-shaped house, quite simple, quite suburban, nothing, you know, crazy to write home about, but it's just nice and cozy. I'm just popping this roof trim on now, which I love because I just think it's a little bit more realistic. One thing I think would be kind of cool to see in The Sims is maybe, I know we've got decorative pieces like downpipes and stuff, but maybe some auto place guttering on houses could be kind of cool to give it a bit of realism. But it would have to be good auto place, not auto place like some of the paint swatches we have now, where they put the weird columns or the, you know, corner pieces in strange sections of the house. So yeah, I think that's really cool, and the decorative gutter pieces we have are something that I could start to bring more into my builds, and I think would again add another element of realism. So here is where I decide to do the bump out. So it's only, you know, 8 tiles, and this is me struggling to I don't know what was happening here. I was struggling to actually get this bump out, so rather than, you know, deleting wall and having to redo everything, I was just wanting to drag that inner wall out so that it became all one room. I don't know what I was finding so hard about that. Apparently I was. So I'm just moving, and because I have move objects on, you'll see that that painting was just sort of floating in thin air. That will happen when you have move objects on, so just be aware of that when you are moving things around. So in this little bump out nook, that's where I'm going to make the sort of anchor point for the living room, rather than having it just as this big open hallway to the kitchen. I think this space now works a lot better because you've got the more segmented spaces. It was working fine before and would have worked really well for gameplay if you didn't have the funds to do this bump out yet. It would have been fine, but considering I had the money there, you know, because we didn't get any new furniture in this, everything's the same, it's just a layout, so all we've paid for is the walls and the new paint, which is brilliant, and the tiles and things, the floor tiles. So I think the bump out was a good little investment. So I'm just popping the final few pieces from the inventory down now, and then we'll get into some of the painting and choosing the swatches there. One thing I've noticed, so I recently got a new computer for The Sims, and one thing I've noticed on this computer, and it's probably a really simple setting change, but I just haven't figured it out yet. I can do alt placement in terms of not being locked to the grid, but I can't do the alt placement in being able to turn furniture while not locked on the grid, if that makes sense. So I used to be able to on my old computer, and I swear it was a setting I changed. So if you know what I'm talking about, please put it in the comments because it's driving me insane. You used to be able to, if you held down the alt key, you could swivel an item. So if you just held down alt and sort of tried to rotate it with the mouse, it would just turn 360 degrees and you could sort of like put it anywhere. I don't know how to explain it, but it was handy. So just in the bathroom now, popping down. Those floor tiles are custom content, I believe, but these wall tiles are base game. Yeah, I think they're just base game. And I just sort of added an element of realism, so you can imagine that they've done this renovation. It's a knockdown rebuild of the older house, but maybe we didn't have enough money to splurge on, you know, some super great tiles, so we've just gone with some really classic, you know, square white tiles. They're going to be timeless, they're going to be nice and clean, serviceable, do the job, but they're nothing too fancy. So I think this house is like the epitome of that. It's sort of like your sort of first renovation starter house kind of thing, where it's comfortable, it's nice, it's homely, but there's nothing in here that's too flashy. And I think it's just the perfect little cozy, nice starter home. So just getting in, I think here is where I go and get, so I get some wall sconces, and I love these ones from the Paranormal pack. The light that they give off is just perfect, and I don't mind having different types of light in a build. I think so. For instance, at home, like at my house, the kitchen light is like that quite sterile white clean light. The lights in the lounge rooms are a lot warmer, so we've got the warmer lamps and things to make it feel like a cozy, inviting space. So I don't mind having the two different types of light in a build. I just think it makes the spaces feel more homely. So I'm just in here just finishing up now some of the final touches. I decided to do a bit of a feature wall, you know, bring back some of that early 2000s decorating style. But no, I really don't mind a feature wall in The Sims. I don't think I would ever be that bold in real life, so why not do it in The Sims? And I think it does just add something, and it's cheaper than buying artwork a lot of the time in this game, which is a nice little tip. If you're wanting, you know, not just plain walls everywhere, just spruce it up with some snazzy wallpaper here and there. So here I'm just getting, now these new chairs look like custom content, but they actually just came with, I believe it was just a free patch update. So if your game's updated, you actually got some, I guess, EA approved custom content, where they worked with custom content creators to bring that to our base game, which is amazing, and I'm very excited about that prospect of what else we could be seeing put into this game. I'm thinking the, you know, interchangeable beds, but we will see. But that was the build, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I didn't take any screenshots because I did progress further than where this is at, before I realised where I was going to cut the video, and I guess before I realised I was going to be making videos. Let me know where it's at. Any comments or suggestions, just pop them in the comments below, and I'll see you all next time. Bye guys.